Today we're going to be speaking from the book of Philippians. We're going to be coming from the book of Philippians. And we're going to be taking a look at Philippians chapter 4. Kind of like that flaming 4. All right. Philippians 1 through 4, my first reader, please.
Therefore, my brethren, dearly beloved and longed for, my joy and crown, so stand fast in Adonai, my dear beloved. And I entreat thee also, true yoke fellow, help those women which labored with me in the gospel, with Clement also, and with other my fellow laborers, whose names are in the book of life. Rejoice in Adonai always, and again I say, rejoice.
Hallelujah. That's not like a song I know. But just as a precursor, I do want to point out that the book of Philippians is first and foremost written to the laity. It's written to just the general believer, and we see that in chapter 1, in the salutation. He includes the leaders, but it's an epistle to the General Assembly on the most part, and hence we see in Philippians 4:1 is therefore my brethren, dearly beloved and longed for, my joy and crown, so stand fast in the Adonai, my dearly beloved. I'm gonna have to start talking like that,
Yeah.
How you doing, my dearly beloved brother? I've been longed for my joy and crown, DR. But yes, here it is. He's speaking of beseeching Euodias, or Euodia, more properly, and Syntyche. These were two women, of that assembly, the assembly at Philippi. Okay, Euodias speaks to a sweet smell or a good journey, and Syntyche speaks to well met or with fate. Now he's encouraging the assembly. He says, "I entreat thee also, true yoke fellow, the true brethren that's yoked together, to help those women, which labored with me in the gospel, with Clement also, and whose names are in the book of life." So it appears that there was some type of situation or circumstance, with Euodia and Syntyche, and so he was asking them, hey, help get that ironed out, and so that everyone can rejoice in the Adonai, always. And again, I say rejoice, and that's what we should do. We should be happy to serve Yah. It shouldn't be a chore, if you would. It shouldn't be, a drag. We should be joyful to serve Him. Even through the good times and the bad times, because the bad times, even though they come, He brings us out victoriously, and so it's gonna just return to being good again. So you have something to look forward to. Now in Philippians, we find what I like to call Elohim's recipe for peace. And I'm sure everyone can use some peace in their lives, right?
Oh, yeah.
Hallelujah. We don't want to let that stuff go. We want to keep that on the shelf. And Yah's recipe for peace is in Philippians 4 through 9, and we're gonna get into that. Philippians, it begins with rejoice in the Adonai always, and again I say rejoice. So You know, that's where it begins. That should have been over here, but forgive me. Verse 5, Philippians 4:5, it says, let your moderation be known unto all men. The Adonai is at hand. You know, this word moderation is epikes, you know, in Greek number 1933. And it speaks to being equitable or mild or gentle, okay? So he's saying let your gentleness, your mildness, you know, your equitableness or justice, you know, be known to all men. You know, and this is part of that recipe for his shalom, you know, for Yah Shalom, for his peace. Philippians 4:6 goes on to say, be careful for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving let your requests be made known unto Elohim. Now, these words, be careful, is translated from the Greek word merimanao, which means to be anxious or to be troubled with cares. So what he's in fact saying is, you know, be anxious or be troubled with cares, with the cares of nothing. Don't be anxious for anything, and don't be troubled with the cares of anything. But in everything, by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known unto Elohim. You know, and this is, you know, a recipe in and of itself. Amen. You know, he's telling us how to do this here. You know, first of all, we need to stay mild and gentle no matter what the situation or circumstance is. We need to remain mild, remain gentle, remain equitable, you know, and we need to not be anxious or troubled by the cares of anything. But before we act out or act up, we should, in everything, have prayer and supplication with thanksgiving. Now, just what is meant by prayer and supplication, you know, I began looking into this, and you know, and it was a little bit more there than what I anticipated, you know, as I know what prayer is, and I looked up, you know, the word for prayer, and then I looked up the word for supplication, and they're both really, you know, translated as prayer mostly, you know, and so prayer and prayer, and so, you know, whenever you see that, you know, there is a distinction there, you know, just because the translation may not distinguish it, you know, totally. You know, there's a distinction there. You know, they let us know by using a different word, you know, but when you look them up on the surface, they say the same thing. You know, so I took the liberty of digging off into it a little bit more. So this first word that's prayer is prosuke. It's number 4335, and it speaks to prayer or properly worship. It's from prosukomai, number 4336, which is a compound word from pros in the Greek, you know, meaning forward or toward something, to go forward or toward something, to even go toward, to be face to face with something, and I like that, you know, definition of it, face to face. And eukomai, number 2172, meaning to wish or will, an aspiration or desire. So if you put this together, put these two compounds together, the essence of them together, you see that this prosuke speaks to being face to face with the wishes or wills or aspirations or desires of Elohim. You know, this is what prosuke speaks to, is this type of worship, you know, where you get face to face. Isn't that a beautiful thought? You get face to face with the wishes or the will, the aspirations and desires of Elohim. You know, in classical Greek, it spoke to prayers for favors. This is how they obtained this. This is how they got face to face with him, so to speak, or face to face with his will or with his aspirations or desires. You know, they look and they say, well, I know, you know, you've been on me about giving up this smoking, you know, and I really need this job, say, for instance. So let's cut a little deal. You know, I give up the smoking, you give me the job, you know. You know, and actually I'm getting ahead of myself. That's the one for supplication, which really does that one. This one here, it actually more so it is prayers for favors, but it mostly speak to prayers concerning development of one's own personal inner being. That's more of the outer being, you know. So it would be more so kind of like, okay, I know you've been getting on me for being lazy, and if you do this for me, I'm not going to be lazy anymore. I'm going to get up at this such and such a time, and I'm going to get such and such done each and every day. Towards your will in my life, or whatever he has you doing. So it's more along that line, because it speaks to one's personal inner being, rather than petitions that speak to the outward you. So such prayers arose out of a concrete need and was related to the attainment of specific goals. And so still may need that job, so here it is. I'm gonna stop lying. I promise I'm not gonna lie anymore. But please give me this job. And of course that's getting face to face with his will. That is his will for your life, that we not lie, that we not commit adultery, that we not murder, that whatever inner personal things that you need to critique, and this is how prosuke was worked, so to speak. Now the next word that's translated as supplication actually is many times it's translated as prayer as well, is diesis. It's number 1162 in the Greek, and it speaks to simply a petition. It's from diomai, which is also a compound word, meaning to beg, and from dio, meaning to bind. And so in the difference with this one and the other one is, what you're begging for, may not necessarily bring you closer to Yah. It may not deal with your personal inner development. It may just be, oh, I really want to go on this trip. And please, supply the funds so I can go on this trip. And in exchange, I'm going to fast for a week. And how you bind yourself is totally up to you. It could be fasting. It could be, you can fast in numerous type of ways. You can abstain from, your favorite foods, to all the way to nothing, to, your favorite event, or what have you. But, I just wanted to give everyone, an idea of, what these words, prayer and supplication, meant to them during that time. Because now today they seem to have taken on, a little different meaning, with, in many people's mind, prayer is just prayer, and there's nothing attached to it except for I'm asking for what I want, but you can see in both of these examples, there was something that was attached to the prayer besides just, having your hand out. It was something that was going to be pleasing to Elohim, or drawing you closer, to him in some type of way. And so I thought that was very revelatory and needed to be expounded on. Let me have my next reader read verses 7 through 9, please.
And the peace of Elohim, which passes all understanding, shall keep your hearts and minds through Messiah Yahushua. Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things. Those things which ye have both learned and received and heard and seen in me, do, and the Elohim of peace shall be with you. When a man's ways please you,
That's good.
that's it? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's
Thank you. You know, and I love this passage right here. So, here it is. He says, if you do these things in the shalom, the peace of Elohim, which passeth all understanding, shall keep your hearts and minds through Mashiach Yahushua. And then he says, finally, brethren, but this word finally isn't finally as we think of finally. It's loipon or loipon, number 3063. It speaks to remaining or for the rest or besides or moreover. So in other words, he's saying moreover, or the rest of the things you need to do, or what remains of what you need to do is this: whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, just, pure, lovely, of good report, if there's any virtue, if there's any praise, think on these things. And this is crucial. This is crucial, see, because it speaks to perspective, and perspective is huge in a believer's life. Because no matter what the situation or circumstance is, you can choose the perspective in which you view it. And that perspective that you choose can either build you up or it can tear you down. The situation could look dire, yet and still, there's always another way of looking at it. Some people look at, the wilderness experience of Israel. They go out, of Mitzrayim. They come out of bondage. They're celebratory, and they're, hey, we done got the victory over our enemies. We out, we free. And then they realize they're in the middle of a wilderness, and a few days later, and what we gonna do for food? We done left up out of Egypt. We don't have no leeks, no cucumbers. We don't have nothing to eat. What we gonna do? We don't let this guy lead us out here to kill us, and so they start looking at things in a way that would tear them down. When they could have been looking at it like, the El that we serve, he just destroyed the biggest, baddest nation on the planet. And he even split the Red Sea so that we can get away from him. And then use that very same Red Sea to destroy our enemies. We serve a mighty awesome El. Man, I see we out here, we hungry. I think it's time to start praying to him. Because if he can do all that, surely he can feed us. So you see, it's the way that you perceive things, your perspective that you take in looking at things that makes all the difference. And this is what Paul is trying to get across here. Don't focus in on the negative. Focus in on the parts that are true, the parts that are honest, the parts that are just and pure, that's lovely. Think about the good report you're going to have after you come through it, the testimony. You don't get a testimony without a test. Think about the virtue that's involved, the praise. Think on these things, the good things concerning the situation and circumstance. There's always another way of looking at it. And that's what we as believers, especially in this wilderness experience, have to learn to do. We have to learn to depend on the goodness of Elohim, so we need to be looking towards the good things and stop looking at the negative aspects or the enemy's side of things. A hard way, a bad situation or a hard situation and circumstance in a believer's life is just an opportunity for their El to work a miracle. Amen. He won't never need to work a miracle if you didn't have a hard situation or circumstance, now would he? He didn't never rain manna from heaven unless they was hungry. There wouldn't have been no need to bring water from a rock if they wasn't thirsty. And until you find yourself in an impossible situation or circumstance, it's only then that you'll see how possible the impossible really is through your El. For all things are possible through him. You know, and so that's real important to understand and to acknowledge no matter what you're going through. You know, verse 9 goes on to say, those things which ye have both learned and received and heard and seen me do. Oh, and seen in me do. This word do actually, you know, means, speaks to practice. You know, so it's not, you know, you put that into practice all the time. You don't just do it when you have a situation or circumstance. See, and you have a lot of people that, you know, they're land like that, you know. When they have a situation or circumstance, they're the most pious people you ever seen. You know, but soon as the situation or circumstance is over, you know, they're back being a happy heathen. You know, so, you know, you got to keep this practice going. You know, and then next thing you know, it'll be second nature, and you'll be, you know, you'll be, truly be a saint. You'll truly be, you know, a peculiar person, a peculiar treasure of Yah in the earth. You know, and this concept, Proverbs agree with. You know, in Proverbs 16:7, it teaches us. It says, "When a man's ways please Yahuwah, he maketh even his enemies to be at peace with him." You know, so if you want to have peace in your life, even that peace that surpasses all understanding, then this is the recipe. You know, we're going to go back over it a little bit one more time. You know, first you started off with rejoicing in Adonai always. No matter what the situation or circumstance is, you still rejoice in Yah. You know, so that's the first part of the recipe. And then you keep cool. You keep cool. You know, you don't get all riled up and start acting a fool. You know, you stay mild and gentle and equitable. No, he didn't. I'm about to break his... No, you can't be breaking stuff. You got to stay equitable. You got to stay mild and gentle. You know, and this is huge right here. You have to marry manao. You have to be anxious or troubled with the cares of nothing. It doesn't matter what the situation or circumstance look like. If you haven't learned anything at this point, you should have learned that the El we serve is a mighty El. And that he can bring us out of any situation or circumstance, so there's no need to be anxious about it. There's no need to be troubled with the cares of it. But in everything, you know, by prayer, that is prosuke, that means worship, that means get face to face with Yah's will, ways, and purpose for your life. You know, because you don't want to be away from him and trying to ask for something. You know, you don't want to be outside of his will trying to ask for something, because that's a good way not to get answered. You know, but when you need an answer, you know, you need to get face to face with what he asked you to do. You know I didn't do it before, y'all, but I'm doing it now. I'm doing it now. I'm on top of it. You know, yes, that's the way you need to be. You know, I know you told me to do this 3 years ago. You know, yeah. Well, I'm doing it. I know, you know, but could you get me out of this? You know, you got to come at them like that. You know, you can't just be coming at Yah, you know, with your hand out all the time, you know, and thinking that, you know, there's nothing that he wants of you. You know, he's not our personal ATM. You know, he's not our personal miracle machine. You know, I need a miracle, Yah. You know I ain't been talking to you lately. You know, it's been something like 8 years, but you know, I'm really in a tight right now. You know, that is not the time, you know, when you want to get reacquainted. You know, so, you know, you want to learn from this recipe for his shalom. You know, and get face to face with his will, wishes, aspirations, and desires of you. You know, and don't just have your hand out, you know, be willing to give something in exchange. You know, and also, don't forget about diasis. You know, if you're going to be begging, you know, then, you know, give some type of offering. You know, we know the sacrificial system is done away with, so nobody expecting you to go, you know, to one of the local farms and get a sheep or nothing, or a goat. You know, but you can, you know, you can fast for a day. It's not gonna kill you, or 3, or 5, or 7, depending on how big a thing you asking for. You know what I'm saying? You know, you can do that. You know, I remember, you know, when I did this unknowingly. You know, it was just it was just natural for me. You know, I distinctly remember doing this. You know, and it would have been prosuke. You know, because I was in Hawaii and they were talking about this hurricane that was coming, and you know. Now here it is, you know, this place, you know, they didn't, it stayed nice so often that they didn't even have doors. They don't even have doors in Hawaii on the hotels and things, you know. Yeah, they don't even have doors, you know, but here it is, this hurricane was coming and they was putting sandbags in front of those openings, you know, and they were, you know, every place around was in an uproar, you know, the winds was picking up, it was garbage cans. Remember the old metal garbage cans? You know, it was the old metal garbage cans, you know, rolling down the street, you know. It was looking pretty dire. But yeah, you know, I got on my knees and I started praying, you know, and I told y'all, I say, hey, get me out of this. I'll go to church every week. Little did I know what I was doing, you know. I had no idea, you know, but Yah knows, you know. I had no idea. And it was a while before I made good on that too, you know. I was a happy heathen at the time, and you know, but I did make good on it. You know, and so, you know, I say that to say, you know, I've seen this from experience. It does work. It does work. You know, and sometimes, you know, we look at these ancient writings and sometimes we need that. Sometimes we need someone, you know, that can testify to, yeah, it still work. We know it worked back then, but does it work today? Yes, I'm here to tell you it still works. It works right now today. All right, so, you know, that's the first part of the recipe. Then it goes on, and the rest of the recipe is you need to think. You need to think positively. You need to think on the things that are true, honest, just, pure, lovely, of good report. Don't be thinking and dwelling and meditating on the bad report. You know, think on the good report. You know, think about how Yah is going to bring you through. Oh, and I almost forgot. Where is it? And Thanksgiving. You know, start thanking him for the things that he done, as well as the things that you asking him to do. Call those things that are not as though they are, and start thanking him for them in advance. You know, that's important as well. You know, don't be, you know, praying and thinking that, you know, oh yeah, but I know this is impossible. You know, you must not know who you serve. That's all I can say to that. You know, so you dwell on the things that are true and honest and just and pure and lovely and of a good report, and the virtue that's within the situation and the praise. You know, if there be any praise, you think on those things. You know, that's real important. You know, and of course, you want to practice righteousness. You know, you don't do that and then decide that you want to go do something unyali. You know, so when you do that, you know, then, you know, Yah, he'll give you that shalom. You know, as Proverbs 16:7 says, when a man's ways please Yahuwah, he maketh even his enemies to be at peace with him. You know, that's a good thing. Let me have my next reader read verses 10 through 14, please.
But I rejoice in Adonai greatly, that now at the last your care of me hath flourished again, wherein ye were also careful, but ye lacked opportunity. Now that I speak, not that I speak in respect of want, for I have learned in whatsoever state I am, therewith to be content. I know both how to be abased, and I know how to abound. Everywhere and in all things I am instructed both to be full and to be hungry, both to abound and to suffer need. I can do all things through Messiah, which strengtheneth me. Notwithstanding, ye have well done that ye did communicate with my affliction.
Hallelujah. All right, so here it is. We have Apostle Paul, telling how he rejoiced in Yah for them, and he's rejoicing in Adonai greatly, and rejoicing for them. And he locked up when he wrote. He was locked up when he wrote this. So he's practicing what he's preaching. Amen. And he says, I rejoiced in Adonai greatly that now at the last your care of me have flourished again. It's done revived. Wherein you were also careful but lacked opportunity. Basically what he's talking about, this word opportunity, can also speak to means. They used to look out for him, most likely, with his needs, and, they got to a place where they didn't have the means and they couldn't do it, but then as soon as they could again, they flourished again. And this word speaks to revived, so they started it up again, and he letting them know. He says, not that I speak in respect of want, that's not, what this is about. For I have learned in whatsoever state I am, therewith to be content. Now there's some wisdom in that right there. No matter whatsoever state we are, if we have Yah, we should be content. Because we know if we have a lack concerning our needs, he will supply them. And if we have a lack concerning our wants, then we may have to go to the bargaining table. You might have to get a little deasis in. Yet and still, we know we have an El who's well able to supply not only our needs, but our wants as well. If we do right by him, he do right by us. And Paul goes on to say, I know both how to be abased and how to abound. Everywhere in all things I am instructed both to be full and to be hungry, both to abound and to suffer need. When I'm up, I know how to do that good. And when I'm down, I know how to do that good too. When I'm rich, I know how to spend it. When I'm poor, I know how to hold on. You have to know how to do these things. You have to be able to abound in all things. He said, I can do all things through Messiah who strengthened me. And that's really what it boils down to. If Yah be with us, who can be against us? And Proverbs 16, speaks good to this one too. Verse 8, Proverbs 16:8, better is a little with righteousness than great revenues without right. And I can attest to that one too. I've lived through that one too. I've had some great revenues that I didn't quite get, quote unquote, the right way. And I have some righteousness in my life now, but I have little. But it's better. It's still better because I have that peace that surpasses all understanding, and that makes it all good, and I know I'll be up again, and I may be down again too, but it's all good. As long as I have Yah with me, that's what matters. Philippians 4:14 says, notwithstanding ye have well done in looking out for them, with whatever they sent them, that he did communicate with my affliction. And these 4 words that he did communicate is Suko and Noio, number 4790, means to share in company with. They became co-participants. They became co-participants of his affliction. They joined in with him. We're gonna help you out. We're gonna help carry your load some. And That's what we're called to do. Amen. Verses 15 through 19. My next reader, please.
Now you Philippians know also that in the beginning of the gospel, when I departed from Macedonia, no church communicated with me as concerning giving and receiving, but ye only. For even in Thessalonica ye sent once and again unto my necessity, not because I desire a gift, but I desire fruit that may bound to your account. But I have all, and abound. I am full, having received of the Epaphroditus the things which were sent from you, an odor of a sweet smell, a sacrifice acceptable, well pleasing to Elohim. But my Elohim shall supply all your needs according to his riches and glory by Messiah Yahushua.
Hallelujah. So we see here, this is, Apostle Paul saying, again, he's saying, not because I desire a gift, I appreciate what you've done, not so much because I desire the gift, but I desire fruit that may abound to your account. Because he knew that, the more fruit that they received, the better position he was in. He set this thing up kind of like a MLM, a multi-level marketing plan. Those who we bring in, as they bring in more fruit, then, we get credit for that too. We get credit for our fruit and for those who we bring in fruit as well. So that's a good thing. But there's the part that you gotta stay attached to the vine. You don't stay attached to the vine no matter how much of the people's fruit that you brought in, you don't get nothing. But thrown to the side. But as long as you stay attached, you good. So, and this is what Apostle Paul is saying, I desire fruit that may abound to your account, so I can see that my work isn't in vain. He say he's full now, having received, they offering, and he's letting them know, hey, it's an odor of a sweet smell, a sacrifice acceptable and well pleasing to Elohim. And he prays for them that his Elohim shall supply all their needs according to his riches in glory by Messiah Yahushua. And this is congruent with what Yahushua taught as well. When we look in Matthew 10, verses 40 through 42, it reads, it says, he that receiveth you, receiveth me. And he that receiveth me, receiveth him that sent me. He that receiveth a prophet in the name of a prophet shall receive a prophet's reward. And he that receiveth a righteous man in the name of a righteous man shall receive a righteous man's reward. And whosoever shall give to drink unto one of these little ones a cup of cold water only, in the name of a disciple, verily I say unto you, he shall in no wise lose his reward. So that's a yawesome incentive to be charitable, and to let your light shine and be all that Yah called us to be. Verses 20 through 23 goes on to say, now unto Elohim and our Father be glory forever. Amen. Salute every saint in Mashiach Yahushua. The brethren which are with me greet you. All the saints salute you, chiefly they that are of Caesar's household. He rubbing shoulders with people in Caesar's household. Caesar only running the world at this time. The grace of our Adonai Yahushua Mashiach be with you all. Amen. And amen. That's all I have for you today. Prayer was a blessing.